أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In our earlier lectures, we discussed about the uh, provisions provided in the first uh, report of Basic Principles Committee to frame a new constitution, and the provisions in the second draft of the proposed constitution provided by the Basic Principles Committee. The both the reports were not adopted, or both the reports were criticized. The first report was criticized by the East Pakistan on the question of equal representation, when the Basic Principle Committee accepted the demand of the people of East Pakistan uh, to give representation in the House of Units according to the population size of the both uh, both zones of Pakistan, East Pakistan and West Pakistan. Then the people of Punjab, they criticized that they do not want the representation in the House of Unit, the upper house of the legislature, according to the population size. They were of the their point of view that uh, the representation in the House of Unit should be according to the geographical size of the territory. So both the parts of Pakistan, East Pakistan and West Pakistan, were in conflict over the question of representation in the House of Units, the upper house of the legislature. So then there came a formula uh, to have compromise between the both parts of Pakistan, East Pakistan and West Pakistan. That formula was given by Muhammad Ali Bogra, who was appointed uh, prime minister at that time, and he tried to overcome the constitutional deadlock. Muhammad Ali formula was also known as compromise formula on the federal legislature. I shared the notes in your WhatsApp group. You can look at that as well. It has been discussed above that the second draft of the Basic Principle Committee, which was presented by Prime Minister Nazimuddin in 1952, came under severe criticism, especially from the Punjab, because the people of Punjab wanted the representation in upper house, the House of Units, according to the geographical size of the uh, both parts of Pakistan, because the West Pakistan was uh, geographically bigger than uh, East Pakistan, and East Pakistan was had a larger population than West Pakistan. So the second report, which was presented by the Nazmuddin government, was dismissed by the people of Punjab. After that, Muhammad Ali Bogra was appointed Prime Minister, who regarded it as uh, one of his principal tasks to overcome the constitutional deadlock. So when the second draft of proposed constitution presented by Nazimuddin Prime Minister in the Constituent Assembly was dismissed by the people of Punjab, or you can say the representatives of West Pakistan in the Constituent Assembly. They Nazmuddin left the office of Prime Minister, and Muhammad Ali Bogra was appointed as uh, Prime Minister of Pakistan. And he was thinking that the I have to complete the task of framing a new constitution, bringing the people of both parts of Pakistan, East and West Pakistan, on a compromise over the question of equal, no, sorry, over the question of representation in the House of Units, the upper house of the legislature. So he was soon successful in achieving a compromise on the issue of representation between East and West Pakistan in the federal legislature, which he made his target or task to bring a compromise between the people of East and West Pakistan. His formula, known as the Muhammad Ali formula, was presented to the Constituent Assembly on 7th October 1953 and adopted by it on 6th October 1954. So, when he was successful uh, making a compromise between the East and West Pakistan, and he brought a formula, the compromise formula known as the Muhammad Ali formula. He presented the same formula in the Constituent Assembly on 7th October 1953, and that was adopted by the Assembly on 6th October 1954 with uh, certain amendments. The Muhammad Ali formula was as follows: The first provision of the Muhammad Ali formula was the federal legislature should be composed of two houses, the House of Units and the House of People, as was proposed in the first and second report of the Basic Principle Committee. The total strength of the House of Units would be 50, to be equally divided among the 5 units which were constituted in the following manner. So Muhammad Ali lowered down the uh, number of seats in the House of Units from 100 to 50 as compared to the second report of the Basic Principle Committee. So these 50 seats need to be divided as East Bengal, Punjab, Northwest Frontier Province, Frontier States and the tribal area, Sindh and Khairpur, Balochistan, Balochistan State, Union, capital of the Federal Karachi and the state of Bahawalpur. So the West Pakistan was divided in 5 blocks or 5 units. So, sorry, East and West Pakistan was divided in 5 units. East Pakistan have only 1 unit. Punjab had only 1 unit. North West Frontier Province, Frontier State, and the tribal areas. The 3 units were uh, gathered in 1 unit. Sindh and Khairpur was also made 1 unit. Balochistan, Balochistan states like state of Kalat, uh, capital of the federation, and state of Bahawalpur mean these uh, 4 units made 1 unit. So all Pakistan was divided in the 5 units. The distribution of seats among the following units, which consisted of more than one province or state, was to be as under. North West Frontier Province, including frontier states and the tribal areas, they were given 10 seats in the House of Units. Sindh and Khairpur was also given 10 seats in uh, in the House of Units. Balochistan, including Balochistan State Union, 3 seats in the House of Unit. Capital of Federation, Karachi, 3 seats. State of Bahawalpur, 4 seats. The House of Units, according to the Muhammad Ali formula, the House of Units would be elected indirectly by the legislatures of the units, and where there was no legislature, the system of election was to be determined by an act of the federal legislature. Apart from these seats, 2 additional seats were reserved for women. The House of People was to have a strength of 300 to be divided among the 5 units as follows. So, the procedure of election of the members of House of Units was also provided in Muhammad Ali formula that provided that the members of the House of People would be elected by the concerned legislature of the concerned unit where there was not a provincial legislature uh, in that province or unit. The uh, membership of the of that province in the House of Unit would be determined by an act of the federal legislature. So in the House of Units, two additional seats for women were also reserved. So it became altogether 52 seats. The House of People were to have a strength of the House of People, the lower house of the legislature, was to have a strength of 300 to be divided among the five units as follows: East Bengal 165 seats, Punjab 75, North West Frontier Province 13, Frontier States and Tribal Areas 11, Sindh 19, State of Khairpur 1, Balochistan 3, Balochistan States Union 2, Capital of Federation 4, Bahawalpur State 7. Another point of conflict that caused the dismissal of the first and second report of the Basic Principle Committee was the distribution of the powers among the both houses of the legislature. So, in the first and second report of Basic Principles Committee, the more powers were given to the lower house, the House of People. That was also a point of conflict between the East and West Pakistan. So, in the Muhammad Ali formula, that conflict was also resolved by giving equal powers to the both houses. Equal powers were to be extended to both houses. There was provision for a joint session of the two houses for the election of the head of the state and for disposal of the votes of confidence. Decisions were to be made by a simple majority, provided, however, that such a majority included at least 30% of the members from each zone, East and West Pakistan. So, the equal powers were granted to the both houses of the legislature, the House of Units, the upper house, and the House of People, the lower house. There was also proposed a joint session of the both houses at the time of election of head of state and uh, disposal of the votes of confidence. So decisions of were to be made by simple majority. When there was a joint session of the both houses, upper house and lower house, The decisions were to be made uh, by a simple majority, provided at the time of the joint session in each house the majority, such majority, simple majority include the at least 30% of the members from each zone, East and West Pakistan. So when there have to be a decision to be made and the voting was required to reach a decision, simple majority was required, but the Muhammad Ali formula attached a condition on that at the time of making a decision, there must be uh, 30% of members were present in the uh, 30% of the each zone, East and West Pakistan should have voted for that uh, proposed decision. In case of a difference of opinion between the two houses, a joint session of the two houses would be called, and the measure might then be passed by a majority vote, provided that the majority included 30% of the members from each zone. So whenever there was a difference between the two houses, a difference of opinion between the two houses, the joint session of the two houses would be called, and decision would be made by a majority vote, and the same condition was attached that at the time of voting, 30% of the members of East Wing of Pakistan would have voted for that. If the difference could not be solved, the formula originally provided that the head of the state could dissolve the legislature, but this clause was uh, amended when the formula was adopted by the Constituent Assembly, seemingly producing a serious flaw in the formula. Similarly, the provision that the head of the state would be elected from a zone different from that to which the prime minister would belong was also amended. It being obvious that this provision might prove a serious handicap in the working of the constitution, so in the Muhammad Ali formula, it was uh, proposed that the head of the state can dissolve the legislature if there was a difference of opinion between the two houses and that this difference could not be solved. But when the Muhammad Ali formula was adopted by the Constituent Assembly, this power of the head of the state to dissolve the assembly was curtailed. Similarly, another provision was provided in the Muhammad Ali formula that head of the state would be elected from a zone different from that uh, to which the prime minister would belong was also amended. Means the Muhammad Ali formula proposed that if the head of the state was elected from East Pakistan, then there must be the Prime Minister of Pakistan would come from West Pakistan. So this was also amended by the Constituent Assembly by considering that would handicap the working of the Constitution if the head of the state is from a different zone and Prime Minister is from a different zone. The formula, however, brought some improvements compared to the first and second drafts of the Basic Principles Committee, while it maintained the principle of parity between East and West Pakistan. It made a substantial departure from the parity clause of the second draft. The distribution of seats in the upper house was made in accordance with the geographical facts of the country as was demanded by the province of Punjab. As West Pakistan had the major part of the country's territory, it was given a clear majority in the House of Unit. In the lower house, East Pakistan, with the majority of the country's population, got a clear majority of the seats in accordance with the democratic principle. So, in this formula, in the upper house, the West Pakistan received a clear majority on the basis of the geographical size of West Pakistan. In the lower house, the East Pakistan received a clear majority on the basis of their population size. So there was no conflict between the East and West Pakistan on the matter of representation in the both houses just because the both houses of the legislature were provided equal powers, and the one unit in the West Pakistan had clear majority in the upper house, and the other unit East Pakistan had clear majority in the lower house, and the both houses were enjoying equal powers. So the conflict of the representation between the East and Pakistan was resolved by the Muhammad Ali formula that was adopted by the Constituent Assembly in 1954. The distribution of the seats in the two houses was made in such a way as to ensure parity between East and West Pakistan. Each zone received 175 seats in the joint session of the two houses, and it was the joint session that the more controversial issues were likely to be decided. So, if there was a joint session of the both houses on any difference of opinion, then the East Pakistan and West Pakistan had 175 seats in the joint session respectively. So each zone received 175 seats in the legislature at the time of joint session of the legislature. So by providing for a minimum, sorry, so whenever there was a joint session of the legislature, the more controversial issues to be decided in the joint session of the legislature, and each zone of Pakistan were having 175 seats in the joint session of the legislature. By providing for a minimum vote for 30% for each zone at the joint session, the formula sought to provide not only parity but the interdependence of the two. These provisions may have proved a great hindrance in the smooth working of the Constitution, but it was a practical necessity to remove the fear of domination by either of the two zones. So, whenever there was a joint session uh, to overcome the controversial issue or a difference of opinion, both zones had 175 seats, but they attached a condition to resolve that issue or controversy, that each zone should have 30% uh, members present in the house and voted for the uh, that uh, controversial issue. This interdependence upon each zone by attaching the condition of 30% voters present and voting for the controversial issue uh, removed the hindrance of uh, hindrance of the domination by either of the two zones, East and West Pakistan. As explained by Muhammad Ali, no government could be formed or continue in office at the center unless it had at least 30% of members from each zone, and no controversial measure could be passed unless it had at least 30% of the members present and voting from each zone. So, this condition of 30% was explained by Muhammad Ali. No government could be formed or continue in office at the center unless it had at least 30% of the members from each zone, and no controversial measures could be passed unless it had at least 30% of the members present and voting from each zone in the legislature. An analysis of the problem of representation which was faced by the constitutional makers in Pakistan reveals the feelings of mutual distrust, fear, and suspicion between the people of East and West Pakistan. This feeling had its origin in a number of factors: political, economic, cultural, linguistic, psychological, and others. The Muslims of undivided India were united in a unique way under the leadership of Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and fought for Pakistan without any sense of distinction as Bengalis, Punjabi, Sindhis, and so on. But soon after the establishment of Pakistan, provincial and regional feelings began to manifest themselves. East Pakistanis felt that they did not have a fair and adequate share in the central government and administration. They felt that they had been neglected and were dominated by the West Wing. This gave birth to the feelings of regionalism in East Pakistan, while provincialism was making headway in West Pakistan. As a consequence, political issues often came to be judged on the basis of provincial interests. National unity and national feelings were considerably damaged by, and therein lay the root cause of the difficulty in finding a basis for representation in the legislature under the future constitution. Each unit feared the domination of the other, and consequently the framers of the constitution had to evolve the formula of a government based on regional parity. The difficulties involved in such an arrangement were regarded as a painful necessity. So both the unit east and west were afraid that in the uh, legislature the other could have uh, other unit could have dominate the legislature. The East Pakistan was afraid that West Pakistan could dominate the legislature on the basis of their geographical area size, and the people of West Pakistan was afraid that East Pakistan could uh, dominate the legislature on the basis of their population size. So in the East Pakistan there were fears of regionalism, and in the West Pakistan there were fears of the provincialism. But at the time before partition, uh, all the Muslims, irrespective of their province, territory, or area, they were united under the leadership of Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah to achieve the task of Pakistan. But immediately after achieving the task of Pakistan, there was there were differences between the people of East and East and West Pakistan over the representation in the uh, legislature. Any question? Any question?